All right.
I'll just do a quick welcome to everybody. I'm Jeff Chambers, Director of Design and Construction. Based on this room, you can see we need this facility. But anyway, thank you for being here. It's been a long journey to this point. I think planning has been going on for about 10 years. This is the third iteration of this project. So we're looking forward to moving forward with it finally. It's the last secondary school in APS that has not been improved in recent years, so it's a very important project for us. I think you guys have had the plans for a while, so you've seen it's a very unique building, a unique facility, not a typical high school. But I think it's a very important building to Arlington and the programs that have in it. Those programs are all in this building, so you get glimpses of it as you move around. But these kids that are jammed in here are looking forward to having the space, just as we are in the future. So maybe we'll have another meeting over there someday in a bigger room. So thank you for being here. Brandon's going to go through the technical issues, and then Johnny's going to talk a little bit about some of the project issues. This is Johnny Longfellow with TNT Hearing. Yeah, it's here. Hearing. What you don't want to blow up.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff. And you can jump in at any time, Jeff.
Yep.
As I go through. All right. So, good morning. Good morning. Sorry, the bell. All right. Good morning and welcome to the pre-bid conference for ITB 39 FY24, New Arlington Career Center Construction Project. I am Brandon Christian, the Senior Procurement Specialist for Arlington Public Schools. During the conference, I will be reviewing the ITB and highlighting those areas which are considered to be of interest. Also representing APS for the project is Jeff Chambers, Directors of Facilities and Operations. Steve Stricker, who is not here today, is the manager from Facilities and Operations and will be the APS project manager. We have Johnny Longfellow from Turner & Townsend Heary and will be the construction management advisor. And Jasmine McDuffie from Stantec and will be the architect of record. Following the conference, bidders have the opportunity to visit the Arlington Career Center site. Questions are welcome and will need to be submitted in writing to be officially addressed. For my portion, please hold your questions to be addressed at the end of the conference. This conference is being recorded and a copy will be posted on the current solicitation page of the Procurement Office website. It needs to be emphasized that it is the responsibility of the general contractors to make themselves familiar with the requirements of the project. The bids are to be submitted in accordance with the ITB. All right. On the screen is the cover page for the ITB. Noted here is the title of the project, New Arlington Career Center Construction Project. The ID number for this ITB will be 39 FY24. ITB was issued on February 8th. Today's pre-bid conference is February 29th at 10 a.m. The bid closing for this project will be March 21st, no later than 11:59 p.m. Bid opening will occur the following day, March 22nd at 10 a.m. And below is my contact information. It's my phone and my email. Throughout this ITB, Arlington Public Schools will be identified as APS or the owner. The new Arlington Career Center construction project, located at 816 South Walter Reese Drive, Arlington, VA 22204, will be recognized as the project. Only those general contractors who have been pre-qualified in accordance with RFQ 39 FY24 will be allowed to submit bids for this project. Bids shall not be received at the Syfax Education Center by mail, express mail, in person, or by carrier. I will further go over how to submit those. Those will be submitted online, and the information is provided in the ITB. Bids received after the bid closing shall not be considered. Confirmation is not provided when the bid is received, just a process of our platform. If you have any concerns, if your bid has been officially received, you can always reach out to me and I'll provide that confirmation.
At 11:59?
I'll get it to you. I'll get it to you, you know. Yeah, okay. Right. Okay. Bids shall not be opened and will be announced the following day at the bid opening. That is when I will also be announcing the budget for the bids. And so please be aware that process will begin on the following day, March 22nd. Here's my information and a link to the current solicitation webpage provided in the ITB. Access to the bid documents, you will be reaching out to our architect, Stantec. The contact is Jasmine McDuffie. Her number and email is provided in this section. Any new updates that will happen for the specs and drawings, please continue to reach out to Jasmine for those provided updates. Okay. Bidder questions. All questions will be forwarded to myself. The deadlines to receive questions will be 5 p.m. March 7th, 2024. That will give us opportune time to reply to those questions, and if there is any changes that need to be made from those questions, allow us to post an addenda for those updates. Information on addenda and information items are highlighted below. Just as a little contracts 101, any addenda that is issued is an update to the ITB or to the specs and drawings. Those addendas will need to be recognized within the bid form. Anything that is posted under the information items is just for clarification. It does not need to be recognized within the bid form, but please review that information for assistance with your bidding. The next highlighted section is the submission of bids. This just outlines the process of how to submit your bid. There is a link on the current solicitation webpage. Through that link, you will be submitting your bids. Again, the platform does not provide a confirmation when you submit your bids, so if you have any concerns, please reach out to my contact. The next section highlighted is the bid closing and opening dates. Again, the bid closing will be Thursday, March 21st, no later than 11:59 p.m. The bid opening will occur the next day, Friday, March 22nd at 10 a.m. Highlighted below is a summary of the project. At this time, Johnny, is there anything you want to point to? We're gonna wait till the end.
Are you done with your piece?
No. I got more. Just wait till the end. Okay.
Yeah, we'll wrap it in. Man, that was quick as you.
All right. The next highlighted sections is under the instructions to bidders. Section 2, failure to comply with mandatory requirements. Our bid form has 2 class mandatory requirements. Anything deemed class 1 will need to be submitted with your bid upon submission. Anything deemed class 2 may be reached out and provided at a later date, but will need to be collected. Excuse the scrolling. Next highlighted section I want to discuss is the examination of site. We will be having a walkthrough after this pre-conference for the site. I believe it will be led by Johnny today. But any further site visits, you can reach out to Stephen to coordinate coming onto the facility. And Stephen's contact information is listed within the section.
Hey, Brandon, can you enlarge your screen
Sure.
a little bit?
No problem.
It's really hard for people to back.
Sure thing. And again, all this is provided online, and this recording will be posted. 13, 17.
Have a room next door.
That
might be.
We're already set up.
Already set up and going?
It's fine. Thank you, Dad.
Okay. All right, sorry about that.
We didn't know we were in Hawaii, right?
But it's
It's good.
shows that we need the space, right?
It's a great thing.
I don't make it.
Well,
Mhm.
everybody.
All right. Section 18 of the instructions to bidders highlights the mandatory requirements. Highlighted below are the Class 1 mandatory requirements, which must accompany your bid. Section 18.1.1 highlights the classifications and licensures for this project. Please note that either the bidder or its subcontractors must cover the listed licensures. The licensures are commercial building contractors, plumbing, electrical, HVAC, underground utility, excavating, and elevator contracting. This will further be addressed in the bid form in the subcontractor section. A bid security of 5% will need to be accompany your bids. And a completed bid form and Appendix A to the bid form will need to be submitted. Further information will need to be collected if you are a joint venture or partnership. The next section are Class 2 mandatory requirements. Again, these are not necessary to be with your bids upon submission, but will be collected. If you are the lowest apparent bidder, I will be reaching out for this information immediately. So please be aware of that. And that those Class 2 mandatory requirements are the list of some subcontractors and the pricing breakdown and the completed insurance checklist for Appendix 2. Again, if you have any questions about that, you can reach out to myself. Okay. Oops. Sorry. All right. The next highlighted section will be the bid form. Please place the name of your company at the top. There are instructions on how to submit. Again, that will be through the online platform. For number 10, please place your Virginia contractor's number and information. Number 11 is where you will be acknowledging the addendas that were issued. Number 12 is the bid schedule. Okay, so I'll be going through this. Bid item number 1 will be the base bid number 1 for the new Arlington Career Center construction project. Bid item number 2 will be the breakdown for the base bid number 1 for the new Arlington Career Center construction project. Bid item 3 addresses bid alternates for the new Arlington Career Center construction project. This project will have 2 bid alternates. Further details on the inspection drawings of those bid alternates are provided in section 012300. Is there anything you want to say about the alternates at this point? No.
Yeah, that's pretty
Okay.
cut and dry.
Bid item number 4 addresses the allowances that will accompany your bid. Take notes within the division breakdown. We do have allowances and the amounts. Those will be included within your total bid. Excuse me, within your base bid number 1.
The MOT allowance may be worth.
Okay.
making everybody aware of. I believe there was a question, sorry, there was a question on the MOT, whether, whether plans are provided or not. So the intent of the allowances, there are no MOT plans. I'm sure a lot of you probably figured that out by now. So once we get a contractor on board, the agency will develop those MOT plans with the contractor, and the contractor will take those and submit those to get the right of way permit. So carrying the allowance in there, so you shouldn't be carrying any costs for MOT.
And if you exceed the allowance, we deal with that when we deal with that. If we don't use it all, we don't use it all. But we just want to make sure that the county, that we can't really do the MOT in advance without yours. So that's the reason for carrying the allowance.
Yeah, and any updates to those numbers will be provided in an addenda. Okay.
So we do have an overflow room next door with everything set up in the screen. You'll be able to hear. If you be more comfortable, it's just down the hall, and it'll be to your left, right here to the left. So anyone that would feel like they can see or hear better, we have that set up so you'll be able to hear.
Remote station.
Do you still have the signage?
It's over here.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, signage.
Okay. All right, and please, if there's any questions about those, please submit those in writing. So that will be bid item number 4, addresses the allowance specifically for the New Arlington Career Center construction project. Bid item number 5 will be the base bid number 2 for the Complete Streets project. And bid item number 6 is the pricing breakdown for the Complete Streets project. Bid item number 7 addresses the allowance for that specific project, the Complete Streets project.
So there are 2 separate MOT allowances. Hopefully most folks have figured out that we're the Complete Streets project, which is, was it from Columbia to 5th Street?
Columbia Pike to 5th Street.
So,
We're recording in the other room.
so the Complete Streets project, we've actually looked at that in our minds as a separate project, even though it's being bid with the Career Center, right? And the intent there is, we're looking at managing and administering that project completely separate, even though they're going to be happening concurrently. Now,
Under one contract.
under one contract, and that was the reason for having that road superintendent identified in the medical personnel, so we want you guys to also consider that as a separate project.
Basically recording it as a separate project is what we're saying. So essentially, we're going to be doing street construction and building a building in the phase 1 that you'll note in there. And the intent is, it also gives you the advantage of working the MOT to be able to figure out what space on Walter Reed we can utilize for construction as we're building the street. And that's why we work with the county to be able to do the street. Otherwise, the county would have done the street separately, probably at the same time. And you would have been fighting their street contractor and they would have been fighting you, and it would have been nothing but a nightmare for everybody, which is why we're doing what we're doing. So just to give you a little bit of rationale and why the project is being bid this way. So you basically have 2 base bids. One of them happens to have 2 alternates, but both have their breakdown. And when we do the applications for pay and whatnot, we're going to need to see them separately because literally the county is going to pay the bill for the streets and we pay the bill. So that's why it's set up that way. Just because it sounds weird sometimes to people, why did you do that? But it is actually more simple than it seems.
And noted that in the bid document, it clearly states that you have to bid on it. So
Correct.
to be considered. So you can't just do the street or just do the building. So we do require that. We just have it broken out separately, as you said, because there's different funding sources as well.
I think Brandon will touch on it next. It's the combined number.
Yeah.
Is what we looked at, determine the apparent level.
Right, so bid item number 8 will be the total bid, and that will be the sum of bid item 1 and bid item 5. Right, and that will be our basis for the apparent lowest bidder. All right. Further information will be needed within the bid form. I want to touch on the list of subcontractors. Again, either the bidder or their subcontractors must cover the following classifications or specialties. If the bidder covers one of these, they can enter their own name as the for the information. But I will be checking if all your subcontractors carry the Virginia class license with the specifications or classifications. Bid form. Appendix A to the bid form will be collecting bidder qualifications, key personnel. Please take note of the table below of the personnel required and the expected level of effort. The next highlighted section is your standard bid bond. This will need to be filled out and submitted with your bid. Okay. All right, 3, 4. The next highlighted section is the agreement between the owner and contractor. This will essentially be the contract. I want to take note in this section is the contract periods for the project. This project will have multiple phases and deadlines for the complete street projects are outlined. Within the agreement will be the contract sum. Also want to recognize this project will have liquidated damages. Please take note there will be liquidated damages applied to each phase and also the completed streets project. Again, if you have any questions or concerns, please submit those questions. The next highlighted section is the standard performance bond, and we have our standard labor and material payment bonds. Once the selection has been made and the approval has been made by the school board, I will be reaching out for these bonds. On page 50 is the general conditions. All right, there's extensive information, so please familiarize yourself. I want to point out page 99 will be our, in part 13 is the insurance section. Please take note of the required insurances and the amounts. We do have commercial general liability applied, subcontractor, commercial general liability, workers' compensation, commercial automobile liability. We do require builder's risk and the full amount of the contract sum. And we do require umbrella liability. And with those insurances as a part, this is a class 2 mandatory requirement, so I will be requesting this upon your submission. This is a required checklist ensuring that the bidder is able to cover the insurances required, and that will need to be signed off by an insurance agent and the bidder.
You want to see that from the general contractor and the subcontractors at the time?
It's for the general. There is a statement for subcontractor liability that you just need to make sure you mark. Okay, and please make sure you fill out the page and have it signed out.
That will only be requested of the apparent award.
Correct. You really do not have to submit it with your bids, but I will be requesting it, so please have that information ready. I will be starting off with the apparent lowest bidder, working my way through. So just add a process, just have that ready. All right, are there any further questions at this time about the bidding process or the ITB? Sure.
Excuse me, will you allow questions from some contractors, or does that need to get filtered through?
Yes, any questions from the general public, from subcontractors or the GCs, please submit them to myself, Brandon Christian, and I will work through. The deadline is March 7th, so any questions received before then, we will be obligated to respond with an addenda or information item. So yeah, all questions are welcome.
So they will come through the procurement department, and then the procurement department will take those questions to the team, the architect and the engineers and the project managers, and then we'll come back with those answers, and we'll determine if it's an informational item or an item that needs to be a part of an addendum. So even if it was a subcontractor, right, submitting the question that changed something in the actual scope of the project, that's going to come out as an addendum versus an informational item. Does that?
Yeah, thank you.
And we can receive questions after the deadline, but we're not obligated to respond. So, you know, if you still have concerns about the project, even after the deadline, please reach out so we can address those for the project.
And sometimes those just get addressed as an information item rather than a true addenda.
Right afterwards, you know, if the question is pertinent enough to change it, we may issue an addenda, but you know, after the deadline, we'll work with you if it's needed to address with everybody.
Yeah, we want everybody to be on the same page, so don't hold that question to the 11th hour and, you know, think you're gonna have a leg up, because we'll make sure everybody gets the information.
That's a good segue if you're finished up. So on the question, we're about halfway through the bidding period, right? We're 3 weeks in, we got 3 weeks left, we only got about a week left to submit questions. I think right now we're sitting at like 22 questions. I'm concerned, right? The project is big, you know, there should be a hell of a lot more involvement at this point.
John, I will say that I just received questions from a bidder, and it's about like 70 questions.
70?
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
so they're coming.
Thank you.
They're coming, yeah,
Did
they're
everything
coming.
I said. No,
Okay.
I still, and that's probably from just one
Yeah,
GC,
right.
or they from multiple subs
It's
and GC.
the 70 is from one right now, so it just came in yesterday. So.
Point being,
Yeah.
if we're halfway through this, I would expect to see a lot more questions. I know Stan Tech did a bang up job on the drawings, and they're tight and specs are good. We did a bunch of reviews, APS did a bunch of in-house reviews. Like, we feel super good about the drawings and specs, but at this point, there should be more questions. I mean, we've all done this enough to know that there should be some more questions. So I think some of you folks may not be fully engaged yet, which makes me a little nervous. So please get engaged. You know, this is an impressive project, right? Especially in the K-12 arena. You know, it's north of 100 million. You got, you know, just about every aspect of construction in it. You got, you know, new ground up construction, 200 plus 1,000 square feet. You got a 4-story parking garage. You got an addition and renovation to the building we're sitting in. You know, you got a turf field. It's got it all. You got road work with the complete streets project, some heavy utilities. So we need folks getting engaged.
Yeah, and we're hoping not to extend it because if we extend it by a week, we're gonna end up having to extend award by at least a month because of the way our approval processes work. So it's our goal to get this, you know, awarded. School board, going to be in 2 school board meetings in April is where we intend. We have to go to 1 meeting for information, the next one for action. Because we really want to issue the NTP in May, because we have the summer, we really need the time, so you can have work and materials and whatnot as the contractor. The other issue is 2 years later, we have to open that school on August 15th, which means it has to be fully furnished, fully cleaned, fully staffed, and ready to go. So we really have a 2-year construction period, and we're intending that by April, you know, and we all know stuff happens. So if we eat up a month now, we're going to lose a month there. And we opened 3 buildings in 2019, and all 3 of them opened August before kids came in after Labor Day. So we don't want to do that again because the county has to do their inspections and reviews. We've got to move our equipment in. So we're not looking to extend the bid, so make sure you and your subs get focused on it and get us the questions, and we're happy to answer them because we want everybody on the same page. We're not going to play games. APS tries to be fair as we manage our projects. So we like to think of ourselves not as the typical owner, but you know, we will follow the contract because that's what we have to work with as a tool. So please get your bids in on time, and you know, if we absolutely have no choice, we can extend it, but we are looking to not extend it at this current time.
Yeah, well said. I think the 2 dates we need to meet are what, the 11th and 25th of April for the board action and board approval. So the end date's not going to change on the first phase, so we can jump into the phasing a little bit. Now, most folks probably can't see this. Better. So that first phase, you know, that's going to be the tough nut to crack, right? That's the new ACC. As Jeff said, the end date's not going to change. You know, it's got a May substantial completion date, a June final completion date. So any day we slip up front, it's just squeezing that construction phase down, right? And school construction 101, obviously we don't want to miss the first summer, right? So we're hoping to get that NTP out the door early May so we can hit the ground running, you know, administratively, so you guys can get all your subs bought out. We can get some metals rolling. You'll see when we walk the site, there's not a ton of site work to get this thing rolling, right? You have the Fenwick building that was demolished, the slab's still there. So basically get rid of that slab, any associated foundations, peel back the topsoil, and you're pretty much ready to rock with utilities and you know, spread footings, and you know, within a couple months, we should be hopefully trying to bring this building out of the ground. And that phase 1.
Can you make the screen bigger? Bigger.
You can hide this and collapse this.
Or
Yeah.
Better?
yeah, we just want them to be able to see it better.
All right. So I'm not going to go through the whole, you know, every aspect of every phase. Most of you folks who put together qualification packages, you all get it, right? You know, everybody did the phasing, y'all did your own diagrams. It was awesome. You know, we got the message. Y'all were into it. You understand it. A couple things I do want to highlight is the summer work. Summer of 24 and 25. So there's utilities we got to bring in, right? Obviously, we want those to go down in the summer so we're not impacting the existing operations here. There's a new gas line we got to bring in. There's storm we got to make a tie in. There's Arlington fiber that's got to run from the new ACC to this school. So, you know, we want to get that duct bank in. So be aware of that. It's identified in the phasing plans. You know, we're considering those as interim milestones. That's the way you should be bidding it. You should be bidding it for that work to happen in the summer. Now we get a contractor on board and they got a better way to do it, we're all ears.
right? It's going to be a collective process. You know, we get it. But the way that we've been looking at it, we've been looking at it for a long time. We feel that, you know, to get this work done in the summer is going to be beneficial for the project and for the end user. I'm sure everybody here is aware the existing ACC will be fully operational. MPSA will be fully operational.
That's Montessori Public School of Arlington. If you're wondering, that's the elementary school that's on site.
Yep. So we will have that to contend with.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're all aware, we're essentially building this entire building from Wilderton because we really don't have a lot of space behind the building.
Yeah, so on the west side, you would have the library. On the west side, I mean,
South side.
south side, you have the library. West side, you still have an active surface parking lot. So to your point, it's very, very tight. So phase two, after we get the new building built, obviously we'll get folks moved over that summer, and then we're able to start the demolition of this building, right? The backside, the high bay area. Let's get, so let me touch on something before we move out of that phase one. So there is the Complete Streets project that we mentioned. So this is Hung Nguyen. He's also with Turner Townsend Heary. He'll be the PM for that project on our side. So that project's also got to be completed in that phase one duration. And as we move through the different phases, so the project, the perimeter of the project, you have South Walter Reed, 9th, South Highland, and 7th, right? As we move through the project through the different phases, you're also going to have to complete that streetscape along with it. So 2A is a very critical phase. So that's going to be the summer when we turn the new building over. So there's two portable complexes on the surface parking lot. I believe there are 8 plexes. So once we get the folks moved out of there, we'll demo those, get rid of all the utilities, and patch back the surface parking lot, stripe it. So the parking's a premium here, right? Now, currently, folks, I think, what's it, like 100 spaces they're renting next door. Staff's parking on the streets wherever they can. So to get this space back and operational before school starts that fall of 26 is super critical because it gives us about another 70 or 80 spaces. We finish up with phase 3. That's the new synthetic turf field, we hope. So base bid is grass field. Alternate is the synthetic turf.
Yeah, if you didn't get to the alternates yet, the alternates are very simple in this building. It's a terrazzo lobby, or in base bid is a concrete slab in the lobby, and alternate is terrazzo. Our other alternate is to go to a synthetic turf field in lieu of a grass field on that last phase.
Contract award, Brandon touched on that. We mentioned the 2 dates. That's the information and action item for the board. Something we need to be hyper focused on, and time after time, I don't understand why it takes so long, but it does. So once we notify the apparent low, right?
Yes, the paperwork.
We need to get cracking on the paperwork, right? Because as soon as we get that board approved, we can't execute the contract until we get the board approval on 425. But once you know you're the apparent low, we want you working on looking at the agreement, making sure your legal team's good with it, getting the insurance, get the bonds, the criminal conviction, get all of that paperwork. Please be hyper focused on that because we've seen it time and time again where that process ends up taking a month for some reason.
Once we make that selection, I will be reaching out to you, acknowledging that we'll be going to the board. At that time, you can address those forms that will be requested once, if we were to assume the school board will be approving the selection.
Yeah, and I would assume at this point, the 6 GCs, I mean, you've already ran that contract through your legal department.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully.
If you haven't, do it. Right? Anticipated NTP, we touched on, that's the May 1. There will be separate NTPs for each phase. Brandon mentioned the substantial and final completion dates. Again, this one's set up nice for that first phase, the new ACC, right? We want that May substantial completion date, so we're not rolling into the summer and competing with all the other projects that are trying to finish, all the summer blitz projects. So it's set up nicely, and I believe the 2 years is adequate for that building. Early deliverables. So Steve Stricker will be on this 110%, right? So once you get your notice to proceed, you need to get your administrative team hyper focused on, the schedule of values. Here. So he's got a whole list. They're identified in the spec also. I can't remember I don't know if it's in the 01-1000 summary, but they're identified. There's a list of them, the project schedule, submittal schedule, QC plan, erosion center control, waste management, all of these. They all have deadlines on them after NTP, right? It's a certain amount of days. We'll all be, along with Steve, hyper focused on that. Owner furnished, contractor installed, and owner furnished, owner installed equipment. There is quite a bit of this you should be aware of. I pulled this right out of the specs. This owner furnished, contractor installed. There's not a whole lot of money here, right? But just be aware of it. It's mostly toilet accessories and the wireless access points. The owner furnished, owner installed products. The big one here is the CT equipment, right? Hopefully you figured out the way that the documents are laid out, that Q series, all of that equipment is being provided and installed by the owner. Now, naturally, you guys own all the MEP rough end, right? That's associated with that. I did want to touch upon this construction IAQ plan. So a piece of this meeting is hopefully we're touching on some stuff that maybe folks haven't looked at yet, just to kind of throw that reminder out there. So the indoor air quality assessment, obviously you have two options. It's the building flush out or air testing. The way that we currently have it set up, I believe, Jasmine, is we're only requiring 1 point, so we're not requiring the 2 points. So technically you wouldn't have to do the air testing. I have that as a note on our side to make sure that's the way that it's set up and that's the way it's being conveyed. But my point being is the building flush out is a schedule issue, right? I'm sure everyone here knows about it. You've done it. Just be aware of it. And let's make sure that we're not trying to do the testing, because the testing is a monetary issue, right?
Yeah, if you're not aware, it's a lead project. So we have to get these points. We are counting on you to work with us to get these points because it's critical. It's a requirement of the county. So we must get the lead certification.
Good point on that. So there's obviously a whole spec section associated with the lead. So this isn't whatever's in that spec section. Bid it, you're on the hook for it. We're not going to play the game of, well, you only needed 54 points to get silver, so I don't really need to do the waste management plan and provide all the documentation and association, right? If it's in that spec, you're on the hook for it, bid it, right? Work restrictions, so on-site work hours, this is pretty typical for Arlington projects, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Weekends is the major gripe with a lot of contractors, right? You can't start until 10. It's been that way forever. I've been working here for 20 plus years. It's not going to change. Right away work. Obviously, folks that do that work know that that's restricted. You can't start until 9 a.m. and you got to be out by 3:30. And it has the same 10 a.m. start for weekends and holidays. Crane use restrictions. This is one you definitely want to take a look at. And again, I just pulled it out of the spec. There are restrictions in here. when you read these restrictions, you'll see there's a couple of them that are tailored to a tower crane. You know, don't know if you guys plan on using a tower crane, but these restrictions are here. It is that's a great conversation probably for the site walk, but I think that I'm going to have to cut out short, so I'll have the conversation now. So we did have a discussion with the structural engineer, you know, so we were kind of looking at the building, you know, how, you know, what's the best way to get it built? You know, do you build it horizontally, get the whole slab on grade, then start getting the whole first floor deck, second floor deck, etc., or do you try to, you know, chop this thing up per area, right? Get the whole 5-story tower built, then you can get your facade and your MEP going, and then move on to the 4-story, and then maybe the 3-story. So we asked the structural engineer, if, you know, contractor wants to do that, can it easily be broken up, right? You know, as far as that load coming down through the building, are we putting, you know, the centric load on footings that may not work? So he did do an analysis, and it can be broken up and it can be built that way, the way that it's currently designed. So I thought that was a major plus. And then that may give you the ability to not use a tower crane, right? Maybe you can use a crawler and a series of mobile cranes to back your way out. Oh, did I miss the quality control? So quality control, so TTH, that's us, Turner, Townsend, Heary, or Heary. We will have folks on site. We'll have a pretty decent crew out there. In the thick of things, we'll probably have two folks dedicated to QC. We'll have a senior project manager. We'll also have a project manager that'll be more focused on the contracts and the forbidden word change orders, right? So we'll have a pretty good sized team out there, very seasoned team. Contractor QC plan, we don't need to go into that. Everyone here should be aware of that. It's in the 014,000. So commissioning, APS will have a commissioning agent that will be contracted directly through them for MEP and building envelope. Take a look at this commissioning task matrix in the 019119 building enclosure commissioning spec, because it's a good table. Whoever, it's the first I've seen this. It's the way we should probably be doing it on every project. It outlines all of the tasks and who's responsible for it. So there is some testing that is required by the GC, and it's mostly to supplement, you know, to have the personnel to spray the water, you know, that type of thing. But most of the actual testing will be performed by a third party.
And I think the other thing is for the skin of the building, we are required by the county to have the manufacturer of the system verify with a licensed engineer in Virginia that it was installed as per the manufacturer's instructions. And it would have to be obviously reviewed during construction to make sure they could say that statement. So make sure that the people you're working with have that certification ability, whoever's skin you're using or whose material we finally end up using, because we have to have that, because they do not, we need to have somebody liable, and it's impossible to get a third party to verify a manufacturer's system. So they just have to have a licensed Virginia engineer that can certify their skin.
Third party special inspections. I mean, everyone here knows that Arlington has a program, the special inspections program. That third party will be hired through APS. We mentioned the building envelope testing and inspection. APS will also be procuring that service. Jeff just mentioned the engineering certifications that are required for the skin and the different systems. Utilities during construction, you know, check out the 015,000. I mean, you know, a lot of this, the division one, like you guys should be in that, right? All the GCs here, read that front to back. know it, right? Point here, any utilities is responsibility of the general contractor. Obviously, we're gonna have to bring in some type of temporary power, so we need to get Dominion involved early, and I believe Steve may even be trying to work that right now, just to get them teed up and let them know it's coming. All right, contractor parking, this is an issue, right? And it's a tough one to handle, it's a tough one to police. We get it, we're nestled into a neighborhood here. You have to have a plan for the contractor parking, right? There is gonna be, I think we're gonna have a lot.
Yeah,
That's
it's item B there. We're currently negotiating with the county. They bought an old bank, literally across from McDonald's on the other side of Columbia Pike. It's literally half a block from the site, which will have 92 spaces on it. They're going to work an agreement with Arlington Public Schools that we will have access, and we're going to turn it over to the contractor. At this point in time, November 1 through 2024, essentially through December 2027, there will be 92 spaces. So for the majority of the work, it probably will cover most of your parking needs. But when you have 200 folks on site here, you need to make sure that you work agreements with your subcontractors that either they do shuttle services from somewhere. However, we can do that, because Arlington Public Schools, based on our use permit, is required to tell our civic associations on a monthly basis where the contractor has contracted parking. So you're going to have to give us a report so that we can give it to the community, so that we make sure, because the neighborhood is very sensitive about contractor parking. And if they do park in the neighborhood, please don't have them change clothes out of their trunk in front of children and in front of people's houses.
Yeah,
It's never happened before.
but the point here is the answer or response from you guys should not be, it's public parking, we can't control them, right? That's the easy response. That's the easy way out. You know, we want to hear, hey, you know, we had a plan, we have a shuttle service, you know, we struck a deal with a local church, they're going to give us 50, 70 spaces. And if you're providing that means and they're still parking outside, that's a better conversation.
So anyhow, it's a big deal. It's going to be ugly. I mean, please make sure that you work with your subs however you can too, to make them as responsible as you are, because, you know, I think if you have agreements with your subs, it makes it a lot easier on you as well, and managing that. So.
Last item, field offices. So we will require a separate field office for the owner team, which is pretty typical. Look at the 015,000. You also have to outfit it, furniture, internet service. Apparently I don't. I mean, these two come in with coffee when
Hot or cold.
Cold is fine.
Yeah, make sure there's an ice machine for home.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty standard. I'm sure y'all are doing that on most of your projects. Probably the one that's
What, the coffee?
yeah, coffee.
Will there be sufficient on-site laydown area?
Excellent question. The site's going to be tight, right? The way we envision it, and it looks like majority of the folks in their qualification package, there's space on the north side, which is 7th Street. Looks, I mean, it's decent, right? You can get a couple office trailers, probably get a couple C boxes. The thought is that parking lane and bike lane along South Walter Reed, we're going to take over that, and that's going to probably be the major thoroughfare for bringing material in, you know, concrete pours, etc.
Yeah,
But it's tight. I mean, it's definitely tight.
It's an urban construction site. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know if that means your trailers are up above something.
Yeah, you stack them.
I mean, that's up to you. That's means and methods, but
You let it get out there.
That's all I had, Jeff.
I don't have anything else other than the walk around.
Any questions?
That's one back to the tower crane or the crane requirements for a second. Can you go slide that there? I think it's item F. And with the intent of using that traffic lane and that bike lane as the, and you just said, the primary thoroughfare for offloading of materials and whatnot, but I don't, reading that requirement, if I'm reading it correctly, it essentially says that you can't pick from any over a public street.
Beyond, right? So the intent here is we don't want to get into a situation where we got to go to the community over here and get releases,
Okay.
right?
So I can't pick it from across.
Yeah.
I got you. And it's right there.
Yeah.
We also don't want loads going across an active traffic lane.
Yeah, I understood that.
Yeah.
I mean, the boom, I know there's going to be some issues with the boom, you know, over the street and that kind of thing, but we have to follow what is regulation. So whatever county regulation is, that's what you guys have to follow. And we can't have loads, and we want to avoid, booms over the occupied schools because we all know that they can fall. And you can have issues and, you know, weekends, evenings.
Loads or boom?
Booms. Yeah, but I mean, the loads can't be over the building at all. I mean, and the boom, you know, we're hoping we can keep them short enough and we'll approve your plans, but you know, we need to see where you're putting them and how you're going to work them and, you know, we're not going to be unreasonable. But we really, you know, can't have loads, but I also know if you have a big tower, you're going to have to windmill it.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's going to blow over. So I mean,
But even while it's in operation,
Yeah.
we would expect it, you would at least keep the swing radius,
Right.
right? And then when you're not here, like Jeff said, you're gonna have to let it go, right? We get that.
yeah, I mean, we're not going to be unreasonable with that. We've had urban sites that we've done and we understand all of that. But if we have to swing over an apartment or condo complex, you have to get approval essentially from every owner, especially in a condo complex. And I think we might have that accomplished by the time the project's finished.
Any other questions?
Quick one, go
Yes, sir.
to the trailers. I think the one G series drawings, actually, the phasing plan show trailer locations for phase one. Is the intent they stay there or are we moving them phase to phase?
Probably would move them phase to phase, I would assume, because you're going to be, this building after 2 years is going to be fully occupied. This building will be empty. And then you're going to be building a parking structure. So we may move, I mean, again, it's means and methods, but you could theoretically be in the play area. It's currently a playground outside, which won't be used. But that would allow you to have a staging area, and I think it shows it on the phasing plan, that would be a staging area for the construction of this building. And then you can leave them in place for phase three.
Yeah, that's an excellent question, because I'm not sure we actually show
Well,
on phase.
on which phasing plan?
Yeah,
We've had phasing plans for the past 7 years, so
yeah, that's a good one.
my memory is probably different than his memory.
One other question, as far as phase two goes, there is some prep work associated with phase two that has to be done during phase one.
That is correct.
During summer.
Summer, okay, the moving of the chillers and
Mhm.
utility lines and whatnot. Okay, so just wanted to make sure.
Yep, and the biggest there, I think, is that stormwater pipe.
Yeah, you got a 48-inch main, we got to reroute on that. Yeah,
If the bid is postponed, will you postpone it into spring break or will you postpone it to?
we're not postponing it.
I mean, at this point, we're not postponing it. And again, we look at it where we are. We'll look at the dates. We'll look at how we can make things happen. You know, and I think the other thing that the bid number 2 actually is a budget for the county. So if it's over budget, they may just elect not to move forward with that. So that's an opportunity for them to make that choice or not, but we're still, both base bids is what gives us the apparent low. So if they elect not to move forward, we still have the apparent low. We're not going to switch horses.
If you have questions about, perhaps scooting the bid back, you submit those, and if we get enough concerns, we may address that, but there's no changes to the bid schedule until an addendum is officially.
Correct. Don't count on it until it's published, no matter what.
Right.
Weight scale, no. All right, I guess we will regroup in front of the building here, so everybody, if you have the green sticker, you can wave that in front of the reader, and it will exit you from the building, allow you to be out of the system, so.
If you don't, they'll come looking for you.
Thank you for your time and your interest in APS. At this point, I think Jeff and Johnny will be leading the site.
I got it, John.
Johnny's going.
John's gonna stay. Are you gonna stay? Yeah.
Okay.
Chad's gonna stay.
So we'll take a walk, hike, whoever wants to see with Peter.
At this point, any questions that you want to be addressed, please submit those in writing as we take the site visit. Yep.